Tonight, Prime Minister Howard's departing endorsement of the GST. The state government blamed for the rise in Tasmanian petrol prices, and the Gilovich inquiry told of another shooting incident. Good evening. The Prime Minister has headed off to London, confident that the GST will cause no major political problems while he's away. Departing from Sydney late today, Mr Howard said the Treasurer would monitor the first full week of the new tax system, while he sold the benefits of the new tax to our largest foreign investor.
The Prime Minister flew out of Sydney late this afternoon to head a huge entourage in London, more than 50 of them, including 3 former Prime Ministers, several ministers, other MPs, a couple of dozen staff and advisors. The cost up to $3,700 per day per head.
I mean, I will be engaged in an exercise in Britain of talking up Australia.
The reason for the trip, ceremonies marking the passage through the British Parliament 100 years ago of legislation making Australia a federation. Mr Howard rejected criticism that he should stay in Australia while the 3-day-old GST is bedded down.
With modern communications, the idea that you're out of touch because you're 12,000 miles away is ridiculous.
Mr Howard was farewelled by a lone protester. As the Prime Minister boarded his Qantas jet, opposition leader Kim Beazley, who declined to take part in the London jaunt, was producing a televised address to the nation, indicating in broad terms how a Labor government would roll back the new tax.
We will roll it back in health and education, and we will lift the burden on the most needy. In government, Labor will simplify this tax for small business and lessen its impact on jobs.
But Mr Beazley ignored a challenge from Treasurer Peter Costello.
The very least he can do is he can say what proportion of the GST is going to roll back and how he's going to fund it.
Laurie Oakes, National 9 News.
The state's petrol is under investigation, with pump prices soaring to more than $1. But part of the weekend's petrol price increases have been blamed on the Bacon government for dropping a subsidy at the last minute.
Tasmania's unleaded petrol prices have risen by up to 5 cents a litre, while the price of super is so high, stations aren't advertising it, sparking an investigation by the ACCC. But the RACT says the state government's cut to fuel subsidy, plus the GST, means a 3.3 cents a litre rise may be justified.
Well, we certainly believe the state government should reintroduce the subsidy. If it means that they've got to get additional funds from the federal government, they should negotiate that.
But the state government says it's not responsible for petrol price increases, and it's a Commonwealth problem. And as for the fuel subsidy, it was part of a safety net arrangement which was erased on June 30 with the introduction of the GST. The pricing watchdog says there's still cause for investigation.
There may well be the issue of the state government subsidy that needs to be taken into account, but we wouldn't have expected to have seen those sorts of price increases flowing through to the pumps as yet.
Purity, who absorbed GST petrol increases, is also due to raise its pump prices.
The petrol outlets that obviously have the GST changes over as of tomorrow, they will go up accordingly.
With further increases from wholesale fuel costs expected within a fortnight. Meanwhile, on the third day of GST shopping, trade was down.
I guess it's probably, if anything, a little bit quiet.
A factor some believe is due to pre-GST stockpiling.
You can't store up last week and expect to do the same thing this week because you've spent your money.
Karen Cho, Win News.
A long-time friend of ex-Vietnam veteran Joe Gilovich says Gilovich had turned a gun on him after a rift between the two. Today's Commission of Inquiry into the 1991 police shooting of Gilovich was told he had fired 2 shots in the direction of his former friend.
Journalist Paul Tapp contests in his manuscript that 3 days before Gilovich was shot dead by a police marksman, police wearing balaclavas forced their way into Gilovich's Pelvarata home. It's alleged Mr Gilovich's forehead bore a bruise from where he was clubbed to the ground with a rifle butt. Today, Greg Sward, a former crewman on a fishing boat with Gilovich and a long-time mate, testified how on the same day he struck Gilovich after their relationship soured and Mr Sward began receiving threatening calls from Mr Gilovich. Mr Sward says when he went to confront Gilovich, 2 shots were fired from a .22 rifle.
Mr Sward said he kicked a door to the house open and during a struggle 2 more shots were fired. Mr Sward said he forcibly took the gun from Mr Gilovich's hands.
Mr Sward says he then struck Gilovich across the head. Police Sergeant Michael Gray told today's hearing he'd been told to look for shotgun pellet damage in the bush near the house after the fatal shooting. He says he found some marks in the trees, but was told by ballistics expert Constable Stan Hansovich the marks were too old. The inquest continues. Hugh McLean, When News.
15 years after Sydney butcher Chris Hatfield was shot dead in his home, his former wife today faced the Supreme Court charged with his murder. The Crown claims that police finally caught up with Irina Hatfield when a boyfriend taped her talking about the crime.
Police allege it was Irina Hatfield's own confession that finally solved the mystery. A terrible secret so disturbing for former lover Atticus Busby, in the end he felt he had no choice but to go to police. Opening the trial, prosecutor John Kiley said the pair had been in a passionate relationship in 1995, 10 years after Hatfield's husband Christopher had been shot 4 times in the head, execution style, at his home in Maroubra. Busby claims 51-year-old Hatfield told him she'd married Christopher for lust and lifestyle, but she told him he then started beating her and she suspected he was playing around. He was just a piece of meat. He had it coming. He had to sleep sometime and he wasn't so tough then. Crucial to the Crown case are Mr Busby's secretly taped conversations with Hatfield, where she apparently admits she should never have told him. And the only way she can get on with her life is to just pretend it never happened. The hearing continues. Deborah Cornwall, National 9 News.
Plans for a new whale sanctuary in the South Pacific are likely to fail after intense lobbying by Japan at an international whaling conference in Adelaide. Supported by Australia, New Zealand and Pacific nations, the sanctuary would encompass important whale breeding grounds. Japan did have one problem, however. It failed to have environment group Greenpeace expelled from the conference. A major setback for George Speight. Fiji's military announcing a civilian caretaker government today which excludes the coup leader. A leading banker has been appointed as acting Prime Minister, hoping to lead Fiji out of the political and economic mess which Speight has created.
A merchant banker, Lysenia Garase, heads a list of business and community leaders who are named by the military today as Fiji's new civilian government. As promised by the military, the cabinet does not include George Speight or any of his followers, but in what may be a concern to the Commonwealth, nor have any Indians been named.
We did approach 2 very well qualified members of the Indian community, but they declined.
The interim government will rule for 18 months, with one of its key responsibilities drawing up a new constitution that addresses the future of Indigenous Fijians. If George Speight still harbours ambitions of power, the military says that's now finally been destroyed by today's announcement. Speight, it says, has nowhere to go but to give in and release the hostages. But Speight supporters have warned their fight is far from over.
I fear that it might even lead to backlash and repercussions that may be beyond the control of both the military and our group.
The military, though, is ready for trouble, poised to announce any day now an exclusion zone around the Parliament, designed to further tighten the noose around George Speight. In Suva, Brad Schmidt, National 9 News.
In the news ahead, the next generation of body scanners set to revolutionise healthcare and a fresh outbreak of violence in Northern Ireland.
What if Ross had stayed married to a lesbian? Joe had never been fired from Days of Our Lives and Monica was still fat.
Oh my God, you're a 30-year-old virgin!
It's a very special All New Friends tonight on Win.
He's up.
into Retrovision and beat the GST blues with good advice, a better range and the very best prices. Like DeLonghi heat machines from $169 or the Whirlpool 5.5 kilo washer only $695. And get great deals on home entertainment like the Sony Vega Stereo 68cm TV $1,486 or the Panasonic 360 watt Pro Logic Hi-Fi just $660. So if you're looking for the lowest prices, you know you'll see it all in Retrovision. So hurry!
I saw this guy on TV the other day, and do you know what he said? Less is more. No way. More is more.
Confucius said,
money cannot buy you happiness.
but Confucius didn't know where to shop.
My daddy always says,
Good things come in small packages.
and this one.
More value.
More relaxation.
More fun. Get more for your money at McDonald's.
I need to be sure my toothpaste will keep my teeth white.
I need to be sure my toothpaste will help prevent tartar buildup. There is a toothpaste that does both.
Colgate Sensation Whitening plus tartar control.
Its unique double-action formula not only helps remove stains that cause yellowing, it polishes your teeth while you brush and helps prevent tartar buildup.
Now that's not doing things by halves.
Colgate Sensation Whitening plus tartar control for whiter, healthier teeth people notice.
Surgeons will be able to make life-saving decisions more quickly and with much more accuracy, thanks to a new generation of CAT scanners, the first of which has just arrived in Australia. The machine can do a scan of the entire body in just 15 seconds.
It's called a light-speed scanner. Full images of a person's chest, abdomen and pelvis are completed faster, yet with 4 times the detail of current CAT scanners. Blood vessel systems have never been this clear. Doctors also get an amazing inside view of vessels for the first time without having to put a tube into an artery.
We can get all of this information with the patient just lying on a CAT scan table, so it's a terrific advancement.
An external beam takes the snapshots, almost 3D images, better information to guide a surgeon.
He can see how far away from these large blood vessels this tumour is, and that will affect how he plans his operation.
And a head scan takes just 12 seconds.
Finding strokes in this part of the brain, which is a very vital section, can be very difficult to see with conventional CAT scanning, and that will be a definite improvement.
A $2 million machine donated to Royal North Shore Hospital will even fine-tune cancer treatment.
We can see that in this patient's liver, unfortunately, the tumour has spread to the liver, and therefore surgery is not the way this needs to be treated.
And the light-speed scanner will be a major benefit to emergency and trauma patients. A fast diagnosis means faster and more appropriate treatment, and that potentially means saving more lives. The scanner's incredible speed means more patients diagnosed each day. It's also particularly suitable for those who can't keep still. Cheryl Taylor, National 9 News.
Our Olympic organisers have been accused of using dirty tricks in putting off legal action by a blind man who's again claimed he's being discriminated against. Bruce Maguire previously forced SOCOG to print a Braille edition of the ticket order form. Now he's gone to the Human Rights Commission trying to make it change its website.
It was a last-minute legal manoeuvre some say showed plain bad sportsmanship. SOCOG deciding to appeal a legal point, meaning Bruce Maguire's fight to have the Olympic internet site upgraded may not reach hearing until after the Games.
SOCOG have been arrogant, I feel. They have used every possible delaying tactic.
Mr Maguire, who has equipment that converts what's on his computer screen into Braille, claims the Olympic site is full of areas he can't access, denying him even the most basic information.
The list of sports, for example, is just presented to me in virtual gobbledygook.
Last year, the Human Rights Commission ruled that SOCOG had discriminated against the father of 2 when it failed to issue a ticket book in Braille. Lawyers disappointed today's hearing had to be adjourned.
It seems that stalling, using a range of delaying tactics has been the method of operation rather than just trying to resolve the complaint.
SOCOG has been accused of spending more money bankrolling lawyers to fight the case than it would cost to simply upgrade the website, which experts estimated could be done for about $30,000. SOCOG refused to comment, but the fight is far from over. Mr Maguire's lawyers now trying to have the case listed as urgent. Christine Spiteri, National 9 News.
In Northern Ireland, police have won the first round in their annual showdown with Protestant marchers. Scuffles broke out as the so-called Orangemen reached police lines outside the Dumcree church and demonstrators demanding the right to march along a route which includes a Catholic neighbourhood. With soldiers reinforcing the police, the marchers settled for a standoff which lasted several hours. But they plan to try again next weekend, threatening to bring tens of thousands with them to challenge the authorities. The world's longest ruling political party has lost power. Mexico's Institutional Revolutionary Party voted out of office after 71 years. Conservative Vicente Fox is the new president-elect, leading his National Action Party to a victory once thought impossible in the virtual one-party state. The outgoing government has been accused of rigging the ballot for decades, but may have caused their own downfall with reforms which cleaned up the election process. When spending time in hospital, most patients wouldn't consider taking arts classes, but if the lessons are free and the teacher is pro-heart, it's too good a chance to pass up.
Get into it. It was a case of starting at the ground level for 8 youngsters at the Royal Children's Hospital. Given some raw materials, a rug, and the laconic bush legend of Australian art to inspire them, it wasn't long before the floor was awash with colour.
Going good, going well.
For 5-year-old leukaemia sufferer Adrian Wist and his fellow beginners, the class was a welcome diversion from their reasons for being in hospital.
Lots of fun. I'm going to play with butterflies.
Some oldies also couldn't resist.
But I do this every morning.
But as the work progressed, the professional was beginning to worry about possible competition.
Going to go good in the near future with all them on the market, isn't it?
No one seemed to care the supposedly unstainable carpet looked beyond rescue.
Kids always put things to the torture test, so it's a pretty good demonstration of it, I think.
Regarded as pretty good at demonstrating his craft, Broken Hill's favourite son was quick to praise his collaborators.
Kids have got no preconceived ideas, they just put the paint on. That's why they come out good.
While the finished mural will hang proudly at the hospital, not everyone was encouraging.
Now, what if he did this at home? What would happen to him?
He'd be moving out of home early, I think.
Wayne Dyer, National 9 News.
On the first working day of the new financial year and the GST, the stock market fell slightly. The Ordinary's down 1.1. C&W Optus fell 15 cents. National Australia Bank down 65. PBL rose by 60 cents and a good day for Telstra, up by 21 and 16 cents. Also a strong day for the Aussie dollar, which was higher against most other currencies and steady against the New Zealand dollar. Colin with sport now and big celebrations in France, Colin.
There is, Tom, after they took out Euro 2000 and David Coulthard wins the French Grand Prix.
David Coulthard wins the French Grand Prix for McLaren.
Chevrolet with $64,000 and a big smile.
Now let's go.
And with reactions like this, we must be doing something right. Who wants to be a millionaire tonight?
With easy access, fast connection, and the latest technology, 24-hour-a-day backup, support 7 days a week, and backed by the world's leading IP network, WinNet is the internet service provider that gives you the world. Call 1-300-139-949 and get online with WinNet. It's a big world.
Every morning before the sun comes up, brings Nescafe in my favorite cup. That's why I know, yes I know, hallelujah, I just love it so. Hallelujah, I just love it so. Oh, hallelujah, I just love it so. Say it again. Hallelujah, I just love it so. Hallelujah, I just love it so.
Stop the press. Wills are pleased to announce that prices are down. Wills, your home entertainment specialist, have prices down on TVs, videos, car sound, hi-fi, DVD, video cameras and more. And prices are down on all the leading brand names you've come to expect from Wills. Panasonic, Yamaha, LG, Sharp, NEC, Philips, Pioneer, Kenwood, Lerva and Sony. Stop the press. Prices are down at Wills the Quadrant in Launceston.
Of all the major financial organisations managing people's investments, only one was awarded Money Management's 1999 Fund Manager of the Year in Australian equities. Mercantile Mutual, a company of the worldwide ING Group.
Daphne, you look stunning.
You look very smart.
Of course, I guess it's hard not to look elegant in evening wear. Hard, but not impossible.
All new Fraser, tonight on Win.
A dramatic comeback has given France the European Soccer Championship to add to its World Cup crown. In the final, the French beat Italy 2-1 with a golden goal in extra time.
France started favourite, and a flair for the dramatic gave Italy's goalkeeper a wake-up call. By Italy's Stefano Fiore fired in sharp service, but Marco Del Vecchio arrived too late. After the break, Totti's back heel and Pizzotto's pass gave the striker a better chance.
Del Vecchio, 1-0 Italy, and suddenly the Italians have got the breakthrough.
But missed two clear opportunities.
Could have clinched it there.
As Italy's bench prepared to celebrate,
Sensational!
Despair for Italy as France became the first World Cup holder to win the European title. The victory sparked off celebrations in Paris, where hundreds of thousands gathered along the Champs-Élysées. Charles Christian, National 9 News.
A Carlton-Collingwood clash would normally be one of the season's most eagerly awaited contests, but this Sunday's match between the pair is bordering on a dress rehearsal for the biggest battle of all, still 2 rounds away.
After 12 wins in a row, things couldn't be better for the Blues, but then there's the Bombers' unbeaten streak to prove otherwise. And it's that clash in round 20 that is the talk of the town, despite the fact that there's Blues matches against the Pies and Bulldogs before footy's most tantalising encounter.
There's been a lot of talk around town. I mean, everyone's sort of talking about that clash. Certainly, it's in the back of our minds that, you know, it's going to be a great game, as it always is.
And while the focus is on Collingwood this week, Silvani knows the importance of monster clashes leading up to the finals.
It's going to be like a final. And, you know, you can treat the game like a final, so it'll probably hold both teams in good stead in their preparation leading towards the finals.
And you won't get an argument from the third-place Kangaroos that this season looks like a 2-horse race.
Look, let's be realistic at this stage of the year. Carlton and Essendon are a fair way in front of us at the moment.
With just a game and a half separating 4th position from 10th, Melbourne is hoping things can take a turn for the better after Stephen Phoebe was today ruled out for a month following knee surgery. The Demons also optimistic the striking charge against Jeff Farmer may be withdrawn in the morning. Anthony Mithen, National 9 News.
Locally, the Tasmanian Institute of Sport today moved to heal its public rift with Athletics Australia.
Institute of Sport Director Bridget Jocelyn flew to Melbourne for peace talks today after Athletics Australia officials reportedly called the Institute a joke and accused it of not providing enough funding for our elite track and field stars. They threatened to establish a breakaway academy for local athletes, but today the parties agreed to work together to establish a high-performance athletics program. Hobart Hurricanes basketballer Rachel Atkins is out for the remaining 2 games of the ABA season after being flattened in the match against Launceston. After a night in hospital, she's been cleared of spinal damage. And at the National Women's Lacrosse Championships, Tasmania has a do-or-die match against New South Wales this Wednesday if they're any chance of making the finals. However, the team is already celebrating after the selection of Alicia Moody and the Australian Test team to play England on Sunday. Gary Magnuson, Win News.
In Formula 1, a 3rd victory for the season for David Coulthard, taking out the French Grand Prix. He won the 72-lap race from McLaren teammate Mika Hakkinen with Rubens Barrichello 3rd.
Michael Schumacher had pole position and turned a good start into a 7-second lead. But David Coulthard was annoyed at Schumacher's tactics when he caught him.
Yes, do that one more time, he says.
The Scot then returned serve on lap 41.
He'll run Michael out. That was super stuff from Coulthard.
After 58 laps, Schumacher's race was over. Mika Hakkinen moved up to 2nd behind Coulthard, giving McLaren a 1-2 finish. Schumacher's lead in the World Drivers' Championship now cut to 12 points. To the Tour de France, and the 194-kilometre second stage came down to the wire. Australia's Stuart O'Grady and Belgian rider Tom Steele were locked together in the sprint to the line. Officials split them by a photo. Steele at the top of screen, winning the stage by centimetres. And Buckingham Palace was where the beautiful people went to see two former kings of world tennis.
John McEnroe and Bjorn Borg.
20 years on from their Wimbledon clashes, the pair was at it again. McEnroe needing a little time to find his feet, but having lost none of those familiar lines.
Serious!
The trip down memory lane was for charity. McEnroe won the match 6-3, 7-6. Peter Overton, National 9 News.
I don't think he was too serious. Wimbledon tonight from 10:40, Tom.
Thank you, Cole. The weather coming up next with Fiona, then the latest robo-helper from the world of high-tech.
On a current affair, secret video of a cop who's a law unto himself, caught on tape by his victim. Plus, the real value of housework.
Make the beds, prepare dinner.
See what a stay-at-home mum is worth. Next with Helen Daly.
Now, you don't have to leave town to get the freshest produce at low, low prices. The fresh food people are having a farm gate sale. There's truckloads of the freshest fruit and vegetables at farm fresh prices. Get 4 kilos of Kennebec potatoes for $2.69, the same price as a 2.5 kilo bag. And mandarins just $1.67 a kilo. Now that's a farm fresh price. There's 2 kilo bags of carrots for just $1.97. And Hass avocados are 3 for $1.98. For the freshest fruit and vegetables at farm fresh prices, hurry in for the farm gate sale. Only at the fresh food people.
At Stellards Camera House, we're celebrating. We've been named the #1 camera store in Australia by the Photo and Imaging Council of Australia. Why are we #1? Because of our outstanding service and best advice in all areas. And our staff are dedicated to serve you, the customer. Come into Stellards Camera House and find out why we are #1.
Vote 1 Chicken Feed. He works hard to bring you the best value, hunts down the best bargains, and drives down the prices. All-in-one entertainment units with 2-tier shelving, $39. Deluxe pillow protectors, $2. Kids designer RSPCA and wildlife socks, any 2 for $5. Super absorbent jumbo-sized tea towels, $2. And heaps of Chupa Chups, any 3 for just $1. Vote 1 Chicken Feed, your fighter for cheaper prices.
Country Club Casino invites you to 2 very special performances in July. Friday, July 7th sees the return of Renee Gay to Launceston for an energy-packed show.
Good evening. Drizzle was reported about the northeast and east coast today, while early fog and frost cleared to a fine day for the remainder. Flinders Island had the top temperature of 15 degrees today. Hobart, Burnie and St Helens all reached 13, 14 for Devonport. Launceston had a low of 11, with 12 for both Swansea and Strawn. 2 other centres, Fine and Bicheno today 12, Marrowa and Dover both had a cloudy 13. The satellite picture shows an extensive band of middle and high-level cloud over eastern Australia, with frontal clouds south of Western Australia. Tomorrow's chart shows that the high has deepened and moves slowly southeastward and continues to dominate Tassie's weather. Mostly fine weather for the capitals tomorrow. Adelaide a sunny 17, 15 and fine for Melbourne, with a few showers expected in Sydney, and 17. A strong wind warning has been issued for the northwest Tasmanian coastal waters between Sandy Cape and Stanley. Elsewhere, east to northeasterly winds of 10 to 20 knots, reaching 20 to 30 in the northwest. Well, it should be a fine day in Hobart tomorrow, 6 to 13 degrees. Launceston, 3 to 12 degrees. Mainly fine in Burnie and Devonport, 13, with Strawn, St Helens and Swansea also 13. The outlook for Wednesday and Thursday fine, with a mainly fine day for Friday. I'll be back a little later. Hope you enjoy your night. Tom, over to you.
Thank you, Fiona. Before we go, the robot that's following in man's footsteps. Meet P3, the latest mechanical creation from the clever people at Honda. Shaking hands is simple, walking upstairs a pushover, and performing like human movements as easy as 1, 2, 3. While P3 has been designed for domestic use, this new age man does have a drawback with a top speed of only 2 kilometres an hour. That's Win News for Monday, the 3rd of July. Stay with us now for a current affair. I'm Tom Payne. See you again tomorrow night. Good night.
Hello again, I'm Helen Daly, sitting in while Mike Munro takes a break.